Hi guys, welcome back. It's another Sunday here in sunny Indiana. It's a beautiful day. It's finally warming up. Today's podcast is going to be covering when you as the parent are looking for signs of life, proof of life. And if you've already sent a student to college, you know what I mean, right? So stick around, we'll get into it. Okay, so what I mean when I talk about parents looking for proof of life is when you have dropped off your student to campus and you hug them, you kiss them, you unpack them, you make sure they have food and everything they need, and they peace out and they're off. And you are ugly crying on the way back to the car. But you are so proud of yourself because you held it together. And that you didn't cry in front of them. So high five. You did it. But now you're home and you're waiting for them to continue looping you in. The regular text, the regular phone call, FaceTime. You're looking for that to continue and you haven't heard from them all day. You tossed and turned all night because they didn't let you know that they were back in their dorm room at night. You have texted them 10 times today. You have been on your Life 360 looking at where they're at. So you know they're moving around, but at least their phone is. And in your mind, you're thinking all of the awful, devastating scenarios. So what's a mom to do? We're going to talk about what you need to do today with your new admit before you drop them off to college. So the first thing you want to do is talk about it now. Set your expectations, have the conversation with them, and maybe it's not you setting the expectation, but start engaging them in an adult conversation and talking to them about it now. It's December, it's January, it's February, whatever month it is that they're still a senior in high school, talk about what it's going to be like when you drop them off at college and that regular communication with you and what it's going to look like, right? Be honest with them about why you need to know. It's not about following all their footsteps and making sure that they've brushed their teeth and made their bed and gone to the residence hall, got up on time and went to class on time. That's not what your concern is. Your concern, deep rooted, is their health and safety. And if they know that because you've said it repeatedly, then it's going to have a better chance of sinking in. Talk to them about how they would feel if they were hours or thousands of miles away from you and you didn't call and you didn't pick up the phone when they were calling and you didn't respond to a text. Where might their mind go? Especially if they knew you were traveling or that you were doing something, or what if they heard on Facebook or on Twitter that there was an accident or a fire in town and they didn't know? They're going to be more empathetic to where you're coming from if you start to shape the why behind the regular communication well before you drop them off at school. So when we talk about frequency, it's whatever you both are most comfortable with. And I will promise you the work is really going to be on you on this end. For you to recognize that you can't wrap them in bubble wrap and you can't realistically require them to text you or to call you every time they are home in their dorm in bed ready done for the night. Right? Is that fair and reasonable? Are you raising a responsible adult if they have to check in and let you know? That's more for you than it is for them. The frequency is something that you both agree upon, but it's scheduled. You will talk about, is it a Sunday afternoon? Is it a Saturday night? Is it a Monday morning? And that's going to vary depending on both of your schedules, because it's not just about when they're available, it's also about when you're available, right? You still have a life, a job, responsibilities back at home, and it's really good for them to recognize that despite what they might have believed, your life does not revolve around them. So for you guys to talk about what that schedule looks like, and to know that you guys are going to pick a day or two of the week and know that's check-in time, whether it's you calling them or them calling you. It will also be important from my perspective that it's not a phone call or a text. I'm going to strongly encourage that it is a video call of some kind, whether it's Skype or a Facebook call or FaceTime. You need to lay eyes on your student. Minimum once a month, ideally every week when you do your check-in, presuming that you are doing at least a weekly check-in. Why am I recommending a video call of some sorts? A video call can give you insights that a phone call or a text cannot. You can see in their face and their eyes. Are their eyes defeated, sunken, withdrawn? How is their skin tone, right? If they have a condition where you can readily see where anxiety and stress are taking a toll on them, you'll see that when you lay eyes on them. Are they eating? Not enough. Are they eating too much? Do they look like they might be engaging in some substance abuse? You will be able to see that in a video call and not necessarily on a voice call. What does their room look like? Where are they at? Where they're calling you from? If it's more than an unmade bed, clothes lying around, if it's dark and depressing, there's some cause for concern. So a video call will give you those insights to help inform you and call them out on it. If this is a chronic concern, if anxiety and depression are one of those, like the previous episode, if those are chronic conditions that your student is at risk for, you have to do that video call. Otherwise, you're so going to be out of the loop on that. Students become really skilled at hiding and masking things from you to protect you from worrying about them. It's more difficult to do that on a video call. And then know what your game plan is. Is it talking to them about it? Is it suggesting that they need to go talk to someone and adjust the medications or get new medications? So know what your response is going to be for that situation. If you are calling more frequently, because you and your kiddo are best friends, right? This is your relationship, and you've always been really close, and he or she calls you on a regular occurrence to talk about everything. While that warms my heart, think about what you're taking away from them by continuing that. If they're telling you everything that's happening, they're not engaged trying to make friends with others there. So they've this is extreme. They've cut in half. They've eliminated so much opportunity that a college experience affords them because you've not given them permission or encouraged them to step back from your relationship to develop new. And that's not to say wash your hands of them and push them away. You just sometimes might need to be the bad guy, the parent, less the best friend, so that they can learn to develop and grow new relationships that are so important at this age. Okay? All right, so then once you guys get to the agreed upon what's your frequency, you also need to talk about what are your action steps when those requirements aren't met on both sides, right? So just as much as when you haven't checked in and you've had your scheduled time, what's your student to think? Who are they supposed to reach out to because they're worried about you now? Similarly, you and your student are going to talk about what are your next steps if they have not communicated, reached out at your agreed upon time. Are you going to contact the dean of students? Are you going to contact their RA or their roommate? Be sure you're both on the same page with that, because when you don't know what next steps are, people tend to panic and do things that they will regret. And if calling the police or 911 is not something either one of you are comfortable having the police show up unexpectedly, then that's where a conversation ahead of time to define expectations and what next steps are is going to be really important. Part of your communication then is, what are you guys talking about on the phone? And as much as you're dying to know every detail and to get the plug in as the parent to remind them to do this, are they doing that? What do their grades look like? How much homework do they have? Start now with reframing your questions. Pay attention to your words so that it's less of you need to, you should, I need you to, and switching that language to how are you feeling? What's your favorite part? Have you thought about? It's going to be a struggle for you to pivot those questions, because I feel very strongly that when you ask the questions about, tell me about your day, tell me about your classes, are you making new friends, they're going to interpret that as intrusive, and it's going to make them shut down. When I looked at the student Facebook page for the last few years, there was several threads for each year talking about the frustration with the expectations that their parents were leaving them with. My dad makes me call every day, or I have to text every night, and I've earned this opportunity to grow and figure it out on my own, and they won't let me. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that parent. Let them learn. Let them develop responsibility. And if you can start working on that now rather than once you've dropped them off and the emotions are going crazy, it's not going to be a breeze, but it will make it easier for you. So start today. Today's always better than tomorrow, not as good as yesterday, but start today reframing your conversations and your questions about what their day was like. And just reassure them that you care and you're curious and you're proud of them, but you're getting in practice for when they go to school, and all the details are not your business. Certainly if you're paying tuition and housing, they're going to owe you some stuff, and we'll get into that in another episode about accountability and responsibility. But yeah, start practicing that now. And here, I thought you would enjoy this. These are some of the reasons that I saw that students were actually reaching out outside of a scheduled time to talk to mom or dad. So they've been in an accident. That's the worst, isn't it? So they're reaching out to you, not because you need to do something. They're going to figure it out. They want that reassurance of mom or dad on the other end of the phone. I know even for me as an adult, if you're fortunate enough to have your parents around, sometimes it's a safety net to have that sounding board that you can call and just unleash your fears and anxieties and know it's a safe place. But then when you get off the phone, you got to buck up and you got to be the adult and do the adult thing. And sometimes that's all they're looking for you from. Sometimes it is, I've lost my insurance card. How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to get there? I would caution you from jumping in and fixing it to well, how do you think you need to handle it? Okay. Well, what do you think you need to do? So remain calm. If it's an extreme accident, they're probably not the ones calling you, someone else is. So hoping you never have to get that phone call. But if they are sick or have been in an accident, they're just looking for an ear. They want someone to feel sorry for them, feel bad for them, empathize with them. Do that. Oh, you poor thing. That must be terrible. What do you think you need to do now? Okay. They're probably going to ask you to send food. They're probably going to ask you to get online and order medicine and have it delivered to them. You need to use your judgment here. But if you were a proactive parent, you have already started that process of teaching them, how do I make an appointment with the doctor? How do I get my prescription filled if I need one? How do I get medication that I need? So they are already, if you've done your job ahead of time, they're already empowered and know how to do that. They just want some reassurance. They want a little TLC from you over the phone, and you can certainly give them that. Another reason they might call is they need some cash, right? Whatever. You guys, you have to decide, is that something that you are willing to consider? They want money for tickets or a car ride or a trip, spring break, whatever. And you need to have some forethought already about what your response is going to be for that. They're going to call when they have a problem. They're going to call you because they got locked out of their dorm. Again, what do you think you need to do about that? How are you planning to solve that? Because what are you going to do about that from here? Right? You're not on campus. They are. They should have had a plan in place. They need to make sure that they've got a phone number or an RA. Do they call the police department? Do they push one of those blue buttons to ask for help and have someone help them get into their dorm? Certainly you can stay on the phone with them if they need if it's late at night and they want someone on the phone for security reasons in case, God forbid, something happens. But it's them figuring it out and you encouraging them to figure it out. Now, we've covered a lot. You're not going to follow your own expectations to the T every line, every time. That's okay. Give yourself grace. If you do too much for them because they've called, if you've picked up the phone or texted outside of your agreed upon time, it's okay. Give yourself grace. If you start that process now, it'll be a little bit easier when you get there. And then when you are achieving your goals, when you don't swoop in and save them when they've called you with a problem, or you don't pick up the phone and call 5 times in a row until they pick up, when you haven't done that because you've talked yourself off that ledge, congratulate yourself, right? That's a big deal. Little wins. That'll get us there. Okay, friends, so I really appreciate your time. If this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a friend that you think needs to hear it. I would really appreciate it. Go on. I would also love if you were to follow me. Subscribe to my channel over on YouTube, or if you follow me on my podcast, whatever podcast app that you follow, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything, and send me a review. When you publish a review, it tells that platform, that podcast provider, that I'm putting out helpful information and that it's going to make it surface for others that might need to see it. And you know you're not alone. You know there are other parents out there like you that are walking through this transition from raising a child into adults, and that transition is not just for them, it's equally for you, because this is not your college life, it's theirs. Okay, thanks so much for your time, you guys. Take care. We'll see you next week.